I got a video in my recommended the other day. My recommended? My feed? Yada yada correct words for stuff. And it was a conversation about a lack of desire to continue to exist. It was a girl, she was talking about how she was struggling with that. And that made me think a little deeper than normal. Wait, was it here? Have we been playing here? I don't remember. That made me think a little deeper about my particular case as I am. Oh, yeah. I remember. Yes. We take a nappy nap. Me, 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 me. Made me think a little deeper about the situations in which I have been in that were very similar to what this person was experiencing. What was that? I feel like I heard something. Anyway, made me think a little deeper about the situations in which I had found myself in previously and how those situations sort of impacted. Hey, hello. Okay, and how those situations sort of impacted me. And the reason for that is because she particularly talks about being extremely tired, which I've been there. Being extremely tired and how that relates to her day-to-day struggles, like paying bills and pretty much existing in a planet slash situation that is not particularly well, it's not particularly conditioned for human experiences that are comfortable. Guys, I don't remember how I made it to the place. Where is the cave? Was it over there? It can't be. Am I going crazy? We need to find this cave before we do anything else. There was a cave with a house in it, and that's the cave we're looking for. The music? Do you hear that? I thought somebody was coming to get it. Okay, is it here? Let's go! Found it. I did that all on my own. It was so easy too. First of all, give me my space. Okay, and so her case and my case are a little different, admittedly, not particularly just because she had, according to what she was explaining, she had multiple jobs, and she needed to have multiple jobs to be able to survive because the labor laws also weren't very supportive of employees. And so what do I mean by this? Apparently in her situation, they didn't really support for her to be paid extra for overtime and things along those lines, which it's a terrible situation to be in. I'm kind of surprised that some countries allowed that. I did not know that was a thing. In my country, usually you have to be paid extra when you do overtime. And then companies can get sued if they're not paying you what they're supposed to pay you for the work that you're doing. So imagine my surprise when I found out that that was her situation, and apparently that was normal for the country that she lives in. But my situation was a little different because in my country, if you are a fixed salary employee, then even if you have to work extra, they still pay you the same amount. So if you're an hourly employee, then they have to pay you more. But if you're not, then you get paid the same amount regardless of whether or not you work more or less, which is a blessing and a curse depending on the situation that you are in. I don't think I need a lot of that, so I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go on ahead and keep going on. And so in her situation, as she explains, is this that deep? That is absolutely crazy. Like I thought I was gonna be able to make it down there, but now I'm a little terrified, low key. Okay. Oh my God. That's crazy. Now, my case was a little different because I had developed a health related issue, and that health related issue had left me in a situation where I could no longer perform in my job in the way that I used to, which was particularly a problem because I was the biggest. This is how people die. Anyway, I was the biggest income in my household. And so what that meant for me was that basically my family couldn't really afford to live, or I didn't think my family could afford to live in the way that we did, which unfortunately is something that they had gotten used to unless I was pretty much sacrificing my health. And quite frankly, which was the biggest mistake I made back then, I did. For a very long time, I did sacrifice my health so that they could live a comfortable life. And I wish I hadn't done that, but you live and you learn. And that was my lesson to learn. Now, I was at the same time the person that my family was depending on, and also I considered myself to be the person who had nobody to depend on. And I don't really wish that upon anybody really. But nevertheless, that was the situation I was in, and I had to make do. You guys, I had to make do. Oh my god, I'm terrified. Dude, what even is that? I don't know, man. Can you please stop being around here? I'm trying to survive without looking at you. And it's not giving safety. What is that? Oh, iron. Okay. There you go. There you go. No more? Oh my god. Why are you so obsessed with being in my field of vision? It's like you don't like being looked at, but you sure as hell like to be seen. Cut it out! Oh, there's more iron over there. I think you need to give me my space is more or less what needs to be happening. Thanks. I'm a little scared. What even is? Leave me alone. Ooh. Aha! Well, ain't that just life? Dang. Ooh. Oh. It's like a whole new world down here. A whole new world. Okay, so if I were to be honest and really truly just take a good look at myself and ask and wonder, no, why am I like, why would I do that? No, well, whatever, we're already here. So if I were to take a good look and ask myself, what would I have needed to hear in a situation like that, or at least a situation similar to mine, right? If I were to ask it, and I were to wonder, if I would have had the opportunity to, would I have even received the help? If I could, and if I were to be completely honest with you, there's a very high possibility, at least for me personally, in my case, that the answer would be no. Losers. If I were to be completely honest, there's a very high possibility the answer to that would be no. And the reason for that is none other than the fact that I thought that the problem wasn't solved if it wasn't solved by me. And that's a conversation for another day. But beyond that, a lot of the times, we're not always ready to receive the solution for the problems that we think we have. And a lot of the times, when people are in pain, they just want to be heard and seen and understood. What I need to do is go get that diamond and get out of here. That's what I need to do for now. I need to get out of here. I need to leave expeditiously. I need to run. You need to give me my space, okay? You're always... You're always trying to be in my business. Oh my god, can you stop? Can we not do this right now? Need to get to the house. Oof. Oof, I made it. I made it. What? Great. Fantastically fantastical even. I gotta throw stuff away. You're annoying. Also, I need more chests. So I'm gonna go get me some woods. And so as much as I would have probably complained about my problems, and this is my case specifically, I don't mean to like be harsh towards anybody else. I'm talking about me here. There's a very high probability I wouldn't have accepted the help. But in my case, particularly, I was very hyper independent as a child. I started making money on my own by myself when I was 10. And I got my very first job when I was 16 and never looked back, right? So a lot of my outcomes did make sense. A lot of the extra work that I had put in did bear fruits, but it also did it at such an early age and with having little to no boundaries that it created systems where it was very easy for people to just take advantage of me because I had things they didn't. And I thought that it was my responsibility to share. I thought that there was no point in me having all this stuff if I wasn't going to share them. And granted, sharing does make me happy. But there is such a thing as sharing with the wrong people and for the wrong reasons. And I didn't really understand that when I was younger. It put me in situations where I had a lot of lessons to learn as I had to face the unfortunate, unfolding of all the things that I had created. And I don't mean to say these as if I'm some kind of victim. I mean, I did create those circumstances. So that is on me, ultimately. You know what I think about accountability in language. That was on me. and I needed to face those consequences. More importantly, the consequences of the systems that I had built that put me in the situation to begin with. And so I wish I had the perfect words of encouragement for somebody who might be in that situation, but the truth is, I do not. All I could really share is things that I learned that would probably create environments in which I could maybe make different or even better decisions if I were to be in that situation ever again. And so, as we approach my birthday, and I keep seeing the trend of people talking about things that they have learned, I decided to make a list of the things that I have learned as the result of the unfolding of some of my worst fear, which is me losing my capacity to be independent in the way that I'm used to. Hey, dude, don't mind me. Matter of fact, feel free to act like I'm not here. Don't have another shield, so I'm definitely making one. Losing my job taught me that the people around me are way stronger than I used to give them credit for, because they were able to pull through in ways I didn't really anticipate. And this isn't me saying that it hasn't been difficult. Has there been discomfort? Of course. Have we had situations where we had to go to bed not having anything to eat? Absolutely. But there have also been laughs and like experiences that I got to have with my family, even though we were experiencing lack, that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to experience if I were to still be working upwards of 14 hours a day, which are the days I was pulling as I was doing all this work. It also taught me to be able to see when people are around me because of what I can offer or the things that I can do for them, and not particularly because of the person that I am. And it taught me that these relationships that are based on convenience are not limited to people who are my friends. They can also happen about people or around people who are my family, even people who have been my friends for a very long time. Because in my case, I've been making money since I was very young. And I wish I had seen it. Honestly, when you realize it, it makes you feel a little stupid. It makes you feel a little stupid because once you see it, you're like, wow, how did I not see this coming? And so I learned how to see it clearly, and though it hurt, I'm still grateful for those lessons, even though I'm frankly still recovering from some of them. Oh, it's getting nighttime. Should probably eat before I head out. Me, 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 me. Now, this is going to be a bit of a more mature talking point, but losing alcohol also taught me that I never needed it in the first place. You don't really actually need alcohol to have fun. And this might be a bit of a cultural point. For some people, this might mean absolutely nothing at all. But in some cultures, it's very normalized to need or feel like you need alcohol to have fun. And so losing alcohol will also teach you not only that you didn't need it in the first place, but also that there are things that you are hiding behind that need that you might be running away from, situations, conversations that you should be having that you are not having, but mostly emotions that you are numbing by not facing them because of alcohol. And so I'm grateful that I no longer drink at least as much as I used to, because it's not that I can't drink, it's more so that I stopped, obviously, because that's not particularly a priority when you are in a difficult situation. It would also uncover more of the parts of you, or in this case, the parts of me that I might have left in my past, thinking that I was over a lot of those emotions or feelings. But in reality, a lot of us were just running away from those versions of ourselves. I'm glad I did that. There we go. Maybe I do need more space here. There we go. I think this is good enough. Ow. Huh. Interesting. Should have gotten a bucket. Anyway. I mean, is it that bad if it's gonna take me where I'm trying to go? Not bad. Actually, not bad at all. Dang, no more? No more is crazy. I also learned that I carried a lot of pain with me that didn't really belong to me. What was that? What was that? Was that my keyboard? And so a lot of it to me is very adjacent to normalizing. You don't rest, do you? A very good example of this is the layer of deceit that you feel like you have no choice but to participate in as a quote unquote normal member of society. And this one hits too close to home for me in particular because I had a management job. For those of you who don't know, I escalated the corporate ladder, as we say, sort of the way that everybody says you're supposed to do. You know, I started from the bottom and worked my way up slowly but surely. And what wasn't really fun to me personally is how much of it we are willing to participate in, knowing full well that is wrong and we probably shouldn't do it. Where is this sound coming from? I hate it here. It's scary. Stop. Is there a spawner down there and I just don't see it? All right, you gonna go kaboom? There's no way there's not a spawner down there. Dang, that's crazy. There's diamonds down there. And so for those of you who don't know, there's like an inherent layer of dishonesty in these situations, in these companies, and in these positions where you're kind of expected to lie. And it's almost trained behavior. Now, I'm not saying nobody's going to look at you and be honest with you and tell you, hey, you're going to have to lie in this situation. But if you don't lie in those situations, it's like an unwritten, unspoken rule where if those situations happen and you don't lie about them, you have no choice but to suffer the consequences of not lying. So it's one of those things where you're at a disadvantage no matter what you do. I almost fall. That was kind of scary. There's nothing down there, so I'm just gonna go back up. I have no idea what's over there. I'm afraid I'm too blind. Oh no, I'm lost. I'm lost. No, I'm lost. No, they keep coming. Stop. Cut it out. I don't know where I came from. I'm lost. This is bad. This is really bad. Is it over here? I just came out of there. Where did I come from? Wait, is it over there? It's over here. Is it? Please be it. No. I'm lost. No. No. I almost fall. No. This is not good. Oh my God. I need to run. I don't know where I am. I don't know what day it is. I don't know where I came from. Oh no. This is not bueno. If I don't find where I came from very soon, I will perish. This will be my last round. This is not good. No. No. Wait. This cannot be how it ends. It can't be. Oh, okay. The first thing I need to do is take a minute to get it together. Bro, this is so bad. This is so bad. This is not good. Why did I do this? Why? Why am I like this? If we survive this, Gamer of the Year. Okay, so, is this it? This is not the same rock. Is it? This is not the same one. I have so many questions right now. Okay, so this is not the same one I came in through, but how did I even make it here? This is dirt. Well, we take those. And by we, I mean me. I take those. That is dirt. Am I in a mountain? Where even am I? And so I always say that everything is dual in nature and everything is cyclical in nature. And I feel like this is one of those very good examples of that because while unfortunately I learned a lot of things that I'm not very proud of about the way that companies are run from the inside, especially as it pertains to manipulation, deceit, and dishonesty. It also taught me how businesses are run from the perspective of scaling a business, right? How do large businesses operate? It taught me how large populations of people can be best managed, both from the perspective of horrible things, but also how would I do this in a healthy way? Those are all lessons I had no choice but to learn, but I'm also glad I learned those lessons. And if you were to ask me where I would want that knowledge to go or how I would want to manage that knowledge, the truth is, I always wish, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I wish and I hope that at some point in my own career, I can have my own company. Because if nothing else, I would like to know if it's really true, with my own two eyes, of course, the scientific method, if you will. I would like to know if it's really true that the only way you can manage a company and make a big company is by managing people the way that most companies do, is by treating them poorly. I don't want to believe it to be true, but if I really truly could, if you ask me what my ideal scenario would be, my ideal scenario would be to really, if nothing else, become proof of concept for what that really truly looks like. I would like to see it with my own two eyes. And so I hope that at some point I can have my own company and do my own thing, if my health allows it, because I want to know if it's true. There's always that part of me that refuses to believe that humans are evil. I think evil for us is more so a learned behavior. And so if I have to be the one to take the risk and prove it, then I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that because I want to believe. But this also taught me that people skills are invaluable. It's never a waste of energy to invest in people skills. Oh my God, get me out of here. Oh my God, this was insane. Can I please leave? Jesus, I feel like I've been freaking doing this for hours. That's the flowers. In love with you. What the hell was that? Oh my God, get me out of here. So I made it out. I had to dig straight up. It was a terrifying endeavor. That was scary. That was scary. How did that even happen? I got so lost. I need to go back home. I almost fall. Ow. It's so rude here. I don't even make it so far from home. Oh, that was scary. That was so scary. Spooky. I hated every second of that. Anyways, I also learned, believe it or not, that pain and fear, they're both part of growth. Like a seed opening up to becoming a little tiny plant. And then imagine how painful it must be to have to dig through the dirt in order to find your way out into the sun. It sounds a little scary. It sounds a little scary, not gonna lie. Or, probably goes there. Imagine being a tiny bird, right? And getting to that point in your life, in your growth, in your evolution. You have to jump from a tree and see if you can fly. And then if not, some of them don't make it, right? They die. And so because everything is dual in nature, the bad news is they might die. They might not make it. But the good news is that if they do, then they could just fly into the sun. And how exciting would that be? I wish I could fly into the sun. I hope someday I can. I learned that my emotions are a personal compass, right? They are not there to be weaponized, but they are also not there as a signal to other people on how to operate. They're a signal to me. They're trying to tell me how to proceed best about my life. They are not there so that other people can understand it and then modify their behaviors around them. They are there to tell me something. They're there to teach me something. And so there is no need for me to weaponize them, but there's also no need for me to allow them to be weaponized by somebody else, regardless of whether they're being weaponized by people, places, things, or systems. I learned that I can handle a lot more than I thought, that I am stronger than my circumstances. And in reaching my rock bottom, I also learned that I can survive it. That also taught me that if my rock bottom cannot beat me, I don't think anything can. Hopefully, you don't have to see the destruction of everything that you hold dear to realize that you are strong enough to survive those circumstances. More importantly than anything else, destruction is the beginning of creation. And in the chaos and the crumbling of life, there is pain of losing what we once held dear, be it because we wanted it or because we had no choice but to lose it. But the joy in this duality is that once destroyed, you get to rebuild that structure now in your terms, which it might not be what you once had or what it used to be, but it can be exactly what you want it to be. And so, if my prayers are answered and the universe hears what I truly want for everyone, is that the circumstances you find after you beat your challenges are better than what you could have anticipated, and they bring you far more joy. But more importantly, I hope they bring you closer to the person that you are, but the person that you truly are, not the person you've been taught to be. In any case, I'm done with the cringe, and I will now go sit in the corner. Thank you for stopping by, and don't do anything that I wouldn't. Friendly reminder, this does include no arson, no ending up in jail, no ending up in the hospital, no adding to the population, and no subtracting from the population. I love you very much, and I'm very grateful for you every single day. I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.